In 2025, do we still need black Greek organizations? This whole thing that happened a few weeks ago at Southern University, there's no way around it. It is completely and utterly tragic. Condolences to the family, all the things. But it raises bigger questions. Do we actually need these organizations in 2025? Is there really a purpose? Because one thing I've always admired about white people, seriously, they join their little fraternities and that kind of thing. They do rush week in school, and then they leave that in undergrad. That is not a lifelong identity for them. I actually admire them for that. They leave that in undergrad. Like, yeah, they're still a network, and that's cool. It is not a lifelong identity. They have enough sense to leave that behind. And so when something tragic like this happens, which happened at Southern, and again, I'm not painting all Greek life because of one incident at Southern University. That would be unfair. I wouldn't want people to limit me to one thing I did. It wouldn't be fair. But so many black people are going so hard to defend black Greek organizations and Greek life. Listen, Dr. King was an alpha. Yeah. But he wasn't fighting to save his fraternity. He was fighting to save black people. Right? And so many people that we admire through history were Greek. Many black people that we think are great, we admire them. But again, a lot of black people used to use the bathrooms at outhouses too. It's okay to move on for some things. It's actually just okay to move on. Because I think black people in America, particularly if you're an American descendant of slavery, we don't have the bandwidth to like really go hard for a bunch of stuff and advocate for anything but one common cause, and that is to challenge white dominance. That is to say, we don't want our lives completely controlled by white people. People who have been historically hostile or at best indifferent towards black suffering. We don't want every aspect of our lives controlled, and the recent debate about DEI proves that. We are freaking out over DEI, which says what? You control our world. Please be a little bit nice to a few of us. I don't think we have the bandwidth to just go hard for everything. If all that energy, if all that passion to defend black Greek life was being put towards let's challenge white dominance, we might be free by now. I don't know. Unless you think I'm just picking on the Greeks, I would say that about anything. It could be your church, by the way. And I'm not trying to take your religion, but if that church is not contributing towards the liberation of black people, what's the value? And I can make a biblical case, right? Jesus says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He's anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor, to set at liberty the captive. At a certain point, is your church involved in that? And if not, like, what are we doing? Put it another way. I was in Chicago for years. Look at the south side of Chicago. Black people start arriving in some numbers in the 20s, 30s, throughout the Great Migration. If all the money black people had put into churches were put into black financial institutions for the uplift of black communities, what would the south side of Chicago look like today versus putting all that money in churches? It's just a question. It's just a question. I don't think we have the bandwidth to just put so much energy and so much passion and defense into anything that isn't about the main thing. We just don't. Sorry, we don't. It could be your church. It could be your frat. And speaking of the Christian thing, since since we're there, I would challenge my Greek brothers and sisters. I love you. But you all claim to have these Christian organizations. And I'm going to ask you, have you read your ritual book? Have you actually read it and squared that with your so-called Christian faith? Because brothers, I'm not going to call names, but you are. How can Jesus be the light of the world and your frat? How can you make both declarations? I won't say names, but you know who you are. My dear sisters, how can you say you're going to pledge your heart, mind, and strength to foster their teachings, obey thy laws, and make thee supreme in service to humankind, and also read, Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord. You will love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind. How does that work? Like, how can all of you kneel at these altars and all the things? How are the apostles battling Greek mystery religion throughout the New Testament, who have all these secret rituals and wear these colors, and you, okay. Now, it's not my issue. I'm not a Christian. I don't have that problem. I don't have to, I could care less. You said you were the Christian. It's not my issue. It's your issue. You have to figure that out. I don't have to. I'm not a Christian. It's not my problem. It's your problem. At a certain point, it's cool to just say, listen, I get that, but I just don't care. This just means too much to me to get. And that's fine. Just say that. Just be honest with yourself. It's okay. Honesty is okay. Just be honest. But you can't read the words of Jesus who says, listen, your devotion to me, I need it all. He said, unless you hate your mother or your father, you cannot be my disciple. And not in the literal sense, but like your love for me, your commitment must make your love and commitment to your own mama look like hatred. The early Christians wouldn't pledge allegiance to the state. So you're talking about I pledge allegiance to the flag? Constantine made Christianity the state religion. The early church still didn't get down with pledging allegiance to the state. So again, it's not my issue. I'm not a Christian. I don't care. You said. So again, whether it's your church, your frat, whatever it might be, we don't have the bandwidth for any of this. And yes, there are a great many people in the past that we admire who were Greek. What is the relevance for today? Is that helping us challenge white dominance now? It's okay to just move on from some stuff. And I get it. You say, oh, well, we do community service. Well, going to clean that park is not going to help us challenge white dominance. Respectfully, mentoring a child, we don't need a whole organization that takes all this energy away from the main thing to mentor a child. We really don't. I'm asking us to think critically, whether it be your church, your frat, your devotion to the NBA, watching sports. I mean, whatever it might be, we don't have the luxury, y'all. And maybe this is just one more area that we just need to look at a little bit closely and say, maybe it's about that time. And I get it. You might say, well, white people have secret societies. Yeah, they do. And they're actually trying to get power. They are using those networks to amass power, maintain, and defend power. What are we doing with our secret little networks? It's just a thought.